everybody, and welcome to day 2 of our marketing journey with Joel. Yesterday was filled with some great information. So here's some of my takeaways that I just cannot get enough of. And I've been saying this to everybody since we got off the webinar yesterday. If you want engagement, you must engage. I mean, that is so true. And I think everybody that really went into everybody's heads, especially mine. So I was talking with our marketing team and putting that together, and they were like, hey, that's really great. And I'm like, yeah, that is. I also loved the idea of using a posting scheduler. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, the social scheduler, posting scheduler, absolutely.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Because you know what? I'm not one of those ones that's going to be able to go in 3 times a day and go into Twitter and keep posting and posting and posting, and going into Facebook once a day, maybe, but not at those right times when I'm supposed to be, So I really thought that was a great idea as well. So if anybody else had some other great takeaways from yesterday, throw them in the chat so we can make sure we're keeping all of that relevant. Everybody, there's a couple new people that are jumping on today. I see some new names. So I do have yesterday's recorded. We'll put that all together and have it to you available for next week. So if you have any questions, please, let's keep this interactive. Raise your hand. I'll open up your mic. Let us know what you're doing for your email marketing. And so Joel can let us know what he's done. And if you're just joining now, he was telling us some of his little great hiccups that he had along the way, learning all of this information. So we're going to be talking about email marketing, and this is Joel's jam. This is he loves it. So wait to be wowed, because there's some great information for you guys. All right, Joel, you can take it away and you can share your screen. We're really excited.
Awesome. And as I'm doing that, and to Laura's point, if you have questions, use the chat as we did yesterday, and we'll do tomorrow, of course. AMA, ask me anything. So I will do my absolute best to answer questions as we roll through here. But yeah, this is my jam. I love email marketing, and because I pride myself in believing, like, it's not just something I believe. Statistics show your clients want to hear more from you. They in fact don't want you to phone. They don't want you to call, but there's something I've added to. The last thing they want is your junk. They don't want your garbage. So they want relevant, timely communication. So how do we do that? Best strategies, one things you can do. And so that's what we're going to look in today. And as promised, as mentioned yesterday, the goal for any workshops, webinars that we do or that I'm part of, we want to give you things that you can walk away from today and do without buying, investing, doing anything. That's our goal. Of course, we're always here at Agency Revolution. We have our great partnership with Esnoa and ways to help you do that. But there'll be some takeaways here. And as we kind of precursor, I'll share a few interesting stories. Of course, just a little bit of introduction to me. As I mentioned yesterday, if you want engagement on social media, you need to engage. So I encourage you, those of you that weren't here yesterday, or if we didn't, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's preferred, but you can always give a follow on Twitter as well. Connect with Agency Revolution. But myself, I was an independent insurance agent myself for 11 years. I was fortunate enough to stumble across or be introduced to Agency Revolution early in that relationship. So I was actually a client of Agency Revolution for 8 of those years. And I'd love to tell you that some of my successes were just that. But the reality is my journey, my learning journey, using Laura's words, within this industry was more of a conundrum of failures that just compounded into victory. I guess that's the best way that I can share it. And a lot of those come from some great email marketing or just the willingness to try and to try new things and have a belief that it does work. So with that said, but why does email even matter? And I know you're probably on this call and you're like, the last thing people want from me is another email. And I would say that if you're doing email in the traditional way of just like, oh, I got to check that box, send something out because I know I should. Yeah, you're probably right. The last thing anybody wants from you is another email. But if done right, it has an incredible ROI. On average, every $1 spent on email marketing can provide an ROI of $42. That's a 42 to 1. I don't know. The last time I checked in this industry, if you get 1 for 1, that's a win. But we're talking about something that'll get you 42 to 1. That's an investment well worth making. Global usage, over 4 billion email users worldwide. That means over half the world's population uses email. And conversions, this is the key. This is what we want, converting people. Email converts nearly 40 times more customers than Facebook and Twitter combined. So much more than social media. That is the purpose of email. If you were here yesterday, you talked about social media. We told you what it's not for is immediate results or sales. That is not necessarily the case with email. So that's why email matters. But we need to get specific. Email marketing that we may do here at Agency Revolution to you all versus what you need to do to your clients is very different. So how do we do email marketing for insurance agencies? If you remember nothing from this call, from this webinar, from this workshop, remember this. There are 4 key things that you need to incorporate in an outbound piece of communication in general, but particularly email. And we take this standpoint here at Agency Revolution in that if you're going to send out communication, it should be opened and engaged with, or what's the point of sending it? So the 4 things, it needs to be relevant. So you think about when you're going to send a piece of communication out, is this going to be relevant to as many people as possible? Let me give you a real quick example. How is it relevant? Well, at minimum within your agency, you probably have personal lines and commercial lines. So when you're sending out a piece of communication, it's very rarely is it going to be relevant to both. Outside of the happy 4th of July or whatever have you stuff, in most cases, it's not going to be relevant. So thinking about a piece of communication that's for personal lines or commercial lines. Maybe another example is cross-selling. I think we all know everybody should have umbrella insurance, and probably a percentage of your clients do. So when you're saying, hey, you should have umbrella insurance, send that to people that don't have umbrella insurance. Send something else to people that do have it. So send the people that don't have, here's why you should have it. Send the people that do have it something else. Keeping things relevant. Number 2, timely. Timely. Think about it. So if there's a storm coming up or there's trouble brewing, the best time to let people know about that is before it happens, not after. Nothing beats wishing someone a happy birthday on their birthday rather than a week after. So, or giving someone some renewal communication 30, 60, 90 days prior to the renewal, not the day or week before. So, think about that timely. I talk to agencies all the time that say, well, we do a renewal process, we run a report every month and we get that out to everybody. Well, that's great if everybody renews on the same day every month, but that's not the case. So you need to be leveraged some more strategy, but so timely. Trustworthy. So it needs to come from someone they trust. And newsflash, info at or on behalf of the agency isn't anything anybody trusts these days. And it's not because your agency, it's just there's so much of that out there. So it needs to come from somebody within the agency, the producer, the account rep, the CSR, the agency principal, or somebody within the agency. It needs to come from that person, that source of trust. And finally, you need to personalize your communication. In the world we live in, you have the ability at your fingertips to personalize a communication, even if you're sending it out at mass. So, and just to be clear, first name, last name, mail merge is not personalized. Dig in deeper. You have the ability, you have the incredible source of information and data in front of you, your management system. Leverage it so that when a piece of communication goes out, it's personalized. If you keep in mind these 4 things, you will guarantee high open rates, high engagement, save your staff time, and all those things you want. So let me just pause there. And this isn't 4 things that we believe in, and I've believed in it a long time. But I think the best example I can give you is not insurance related examples. I was actually at an event. It's been 4 years or so now, and I happened to be talking to then was not a client of ours, is a client now, has been a long-term client of ours now. But when I was talking to him, and we were talking about email marketing, and he was like, Joel, what you're saying kind of makes sense, but let me give you an example. And I was, sure. And he said, the best emails, the most valuable email I get every month is from American Express. And I was like, okay, really? I've got to, tell me why. And he said, well, here's why. It comes usually right after I pay my bill. So it usually comes out right after I pay my bill. So that's pretty good. So they know I've paid my bill and I've got some money to spend or some credit to spend. So that's pretty good. But what they do is that communication comes and they include information of promotions or discounts or programs they have where places I actually shop. So it's discounts at places they know I frequently use or go to and use my card at, and so they let me know about those so I can make those decisions. So just let's rewind there. It's relevant. It's obviously for him. It's timely. It's right after he pays his bill. It's trustworthy. It's coming from American Express. Why? That's where he has his credit and that's where he spends his money. So we trust them, and it's personalized. Really personalized, like, here's a place that you shop and we have a deal now. So he valued those emails more than any of the other ones he got, and that's what we want to do. That's what I'm suggesting you want to do, and that's certainly what we do here at Agency Revolution to help facilitate those things. So these 4 things are shown through many different things. Some of the examples here: eye-catching subject lines, mail merging, personalizing subject lines is hugely powerful. Valuable content, relationship building content, strong, clear copies and call to actions are really what's going to drive this forward for you. So let's talk quickly about eye-catching subject lines. Short and sweet. They don't have to be long, drawn out. Definitely, you can see emails with personalized subject lines are 26% more likely to be open. That's huge. That's huge in email marketing to have an increase like that, or the potential increase of that. So I mentioned that. And should create some sort of sense of urgency or curiosity. So you can see there's a great example there that's obviously making it personalized, and the word now and these types of things. And obviously it's relevant to that consumer. What we don't know here is obviously in this example, we've taken the time and leveraged to know that this person doesn't necessarily have life insurance with us, or perhaps is some that would be ideal. Maybe they've just purchased their home or fit an age bracket, whatever have you. So considering these things really allows you to pinpoint and target and boost those open rates. So valuable content. This is where it can really run the gamut. I think, we do a great job here at AgencyRevolution providing content. There's other content sources out there. It should obviously be informative and personal, but I always just be careful when using canned content here, okay? I'm not telling you not to use it, but remember, this is a place where you can show your expertise. This is a place where I think a lot of agencies will grab something and throw that out there. And yesterday we had a great conversation about LinkedIn strategy, and it's a great place to show expertise. And I think this is it too. Or if you just take a moment, and maybe you're using a pre-created piece of content, whether it's from Agency Revolution or someone else, just take a moment and add your personal flair, your expertise to it, and then you'll see huge benefits to that. So, but showcase your team members, your community involvement, advice, tips, and news. Like, this is critical. Your expertise. You heard me mention it yesterday. I said you would hear it repeatedly from me. There are 2 reasons people choose your agency, and that is your expertise and the relationship you can offer. And you can see this valuable content is lending itself directly to those 2 concepts: expertise, relationship nurturing, proactive service. Actually had a conversation this morning with an agency, and they were concerned when they started communicating more with their clients, leveraging email, that it would inundate their staff, like adding workload, when in fact, if you flip that switch from a very reactive standpoint, which I think a lot of agencies are, you do a good job of whatever anybody asks you to do. But if you flip that switch and go to the proactive side, you'll save yourself time, your staff time, by proactively asking for things, whether it's at renewal or mid-year or other things, giving information on what to do in the event of a claim, tips on what to do, on how to best do certain things that you know your clients will value, will save time. So being proactive about that. And of course, sales and lead gen. Well, this is another thing I believe. Sorry, I'm just full of taglines. I told you that this was my jam. Sales and lead gen. I know nothing about your agencies aside from that you're part of ESNOA, right? But I do know this. You have an acre of diamonds sitting right in front of you. Sales and lead gen, communicate, build better relationships. People will raise their hand and you will grow your business. So it's the valuable content pieces can really drive that. So creating a strong, clear copy calls to action. So there is a fine line here, right? We don't want to be too quote unquote salesy. We are about building relationships, but our calls to action can certainly drive that. If we're educating, providing value, building relationships, then it's okay to say, hey, call us for a quote, or reach out to schedule time with me, or whatever have you. But your communication should be easy to scan and understand. Short, conversational in tone, not, hey, buy today. Like, just provide value, have that conversation. Using bullet points whenever possible makes it easy to read, easy to scan. And this fourth point is so critical in this industry. I think so much time we pride ourselves in being that expert and really knowing, but I think someone that is truly an expert in what they do has the ability to dumb it down to whatever level, to an understandable level for whoever it is they're talking about. So think about that. And I think that's some of the other content I've seen out there in the industry is really legalese, like, or sorry, insurance legal, like insurance talk, which is great for you and I. But we're insurance professionals. We're communicating with people that aren't. So we need to take it down a notch and just give them understand things they can understand, amounts that they can digest and not be overwhelmed. So that is really critical. And then your calls to action, right? Use your brand colors, buttons, click-throughs, included at the end of your copy. I'm a big believer that you should never send out a piece of communication without some sort of click-through. At a minimum, just back to your website, but even more, we can do other things like gathering information, driving them to a social page for engagement, to Google or Yelp or whatever have you for a review. Always provide a click through. So when someone takes a step towards you, they're more likely to buy. So when someone just makes that step, it's a great way for you to evaluate your overall engagement as well. So if you're sending out a piece of communication, remember those four things, but also a good strategy is keeping some sort of click through on those. So now we can talk about common email opportunities. I think these are ones that most people understand. They're generally not too terribly tough to do, but you can do. So we have newsletters, testimonial requests, hugely powerful. Social proof is great, and cross-selling. So newsletters, some agencies do them on a monthly basis. Some do it on a quarterly basis. You can certainly leverage them. Once again, or here at Agency Revolution, we can certainly help you provide content for newsletters. That's something we do. But I would just caution, this is a place where I think this is, if you're going to do this, if you can't commit to on a monthly basis, taking even something stock that like an Agency Revolution provides and adding something about your agency, whether it's a note from the president or highlighting a staff member, or you can see referral winners or whatever have you here, just don't do it. If you can't commit to that, then don't do it. So with a newsletter, I think you need to add that personal touch if you want people to read. And you can incorporate, if you're doing it digitally, like within an email, you can incorporate video here. So there's a referral example here. If you don't have a referral program, start, get one. It's not that hard. If you don't have a referral rewards program, please do it. That's a whole nother workshop that maybe we can do down the road. But absolutely, obviously, you're probably involved in charities or groups or some sort of benefit. As we chatted about yesterday, the greatest gift you can give to any organization you're involved with is exposure and attendance. So the more exposure you can give to something that you're involved with, the better off they're going to be. So these are things you want to incorporate. And of course, incorporating positive feedback, highlighting, especially if it highlights a staff member. That's hugely powerful. Social proof just reinforces an existing client or gives them the reason to buy more. But certainly that existing client that maybe made that comment makes them feel really good that they're being highlighted. So it's certainly a two-way street there. A testimonial request. And so, I never know on the call what everybody's level of familiarity with certain things. So when we're talking about a testimonial request, you can see here that it say, hey, leave a Google review, but this is a true testimonial request. This is different than NPS or Net Promoter Score, which is something you can do to evaluate your process as well. We're talking about a true blue testimonial request here. And so this is obviously the asking for people to give feedback, and if done properly, it can provide so many positives. So obviously there's the marketing aspect. If you're asking for a testimonial, then you can use that in other marketing, whether it's in an email footer or in a newsletter, as we saw, or some other print marketing you're doing, whatever have you. A little bit of a fun note. What we used to do with our testimonials is, back in the old days when you had a waiting room, I think we're starting to get back there at all. But in the front part of our offices, we took our testimonials once a year. We'd update it and we put them in a book, and we called that book the Book of Proof. And rather than magazines and newspapers and these types of things in our waiting room, we put the Book of Proof. And if you're waiting for one of us, you can sit there and read all the great things our clients have to say about us. So not necessarily email marketing tip there for you, but call it old school, some ideas there. So
that's a great tip, Joel. I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
So do you think that after every time you talk to somebody on the phone, you should send them that email asking them to do a review for you? How is my service with you, or are you saying just doing it for periodically throughout the year?
I think you can in this business, I think you can overwhelm people. So incorporate something like a request for a Google review could be incorporated in an email signature. So you could be asking it kind of softly every communication that goes out. A directed communication like this needs to be, so this is obviously an email that has a specific purpose. If you start sending this every time you talk to somebody, it could get overwhelming. So, but something on a quarterly or biannual basis, certainly would be welcomed, and you wouldn't have to scare people away. Here, the ability to automate something like this can be powerful as well. So, for example, having this go out perhaps maybe 2 weeks after someone renews, or as we'll dive in deeper here into other strategies, maybe as part of a client onboarding or welcoming, would be strategic as well. So sending something like this after every interaction is probably overwhelming, but certainly there's aspects of this that you could incorporate in all your outbound communication.
All right, thank you.
You bet. So yeah, testimonial requests, powerful. Cross-selling. Once again, acre of diamonds, folks. You got it right in front of you. In my experience, after 11 years in the industry, as an agent, and now almost 7 years here, I've come to believe that agencies fall into two buckets. Agencies that know they have an acre of diamonds, and agencies that pretend they don't have an acre of diamonds. And so it's just a matter of how much talking and convincing I need to you. So cross-selling is huge advantage to communicate with people. And you may be sitting there, and I've talked to agencies that say, oh, we do a really good job. We sell it all up front, or we do an account review and we won't write anything unless we get it all up front. And in the same breath, they'll say, we have 2 or 3 policies per client. And I say, well, that's fantastic, because I'm Joe Blow Nobody. I'm just John Q pencil pusher here. And I have 4 or 5 policies. So if you're telling me on average you only have 2 or 3, you're leaving a lot in the bucket, let alone if you're someone that owns a business. Maybe I'm a personal lines person that I minimum have maybe a home, vehicle or 2, maybe life insurance, umbrella. And then I got a business which has umpteen different policies, workers' comp, whatever have you. So I just understanding that most agents, virtually every agency has that acre diamonds, and being able to systematically cross-sell, strategically targeting, pinpoint people is powerful, and certainly an opportunity that you can email and ask for that business, and that's certainly okay to do. So then we go from more what I would call typical to more advanced email marketing, and to do this, you absolutely probably need to leverage some automation. You certainly need to leverage technology to do this, but it is absolutely critical. And some great examples there from customer onboarding, lead nurturing, and account review. What we recommend in customer onboarding is a 3 email sequence at minimum, and that establishes services and communication expectations. So you can set expectations, say thank you, and then you can reinforce what the service roles or what the expectations may be moving forward, and then obviously what to do in event of a claim. You should be introducing your referral programs. Of course, great place to add a testimonial request in here, and so this pretense comes from your opportunity to solidify the relationship is with you, not necessarily the carrier, right? And no offense to our carriers, we love our carriers and they're all great and lots of them we work with, but you want to solidify that you are their representative. So the idea that touching those people 3 times before they get any kind of maybe direct communication from the carrier with their policy documents or whatever have you. So just a real strategic approach to that. And then lead nurturing. Wow, this is a place we don't do a great job, folks. This is one that never ceases to amaze me. If you heard us chatting earlier, like kind of the sexiest thing in the world is new business. Far too many agencies we talk to, and you'll see, will spend copious amounts of money to attract new people, new prospects, suspects, new customers to their agency. And they'll spend on any number of things, whether it's print, billboards, email communication, pay-per-click, Google display ads, whatever you got cooking to drive traffic in. And even a referral, you're paying for that person, or you're paying for that person to come to you. And so very often in this industry, if they don't buy in the first 2 weeks or a month, we forget they exist. At best, we may have an X date thing to reach out 12 months down the road. Well, guess what, folks? That doesn't cut it. That does not cut it. The reality is there's a whole lot of people that you've earned the right to at least start communication with them that just don't choose you today. And you heard me suggest earlier that people will choose you for 2 real reasons: your expertise and your relationship. And that starts oftentimes long before they become a customer. Okay, so lead nurturing, get people on a conveyor belt, lead warming. They've picked you. It wasn't right today, but it may be. So communicating with those people on a monthly basis, just nurturing those people, warming them up. I always say that the best lead nurturing, the best way I can describe it, is just being the mosquito in the ear of life. All right. So you're always there. You're always there. You're always there. It's kind of there. And then sooner or later, it's like, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. They're going to land, it's going to bite, or whatever the case is. But getting it back to insurance, what's going to happen is, something's going to happen. Their renewal's going to go up. They had maybe a little claim that wasn't their fault, didn't go so well. Whatever, they tried to get a hold of somebody and couldn't. Whatever the case is, that bump in the road's going to happen. And because you were there, you're going to be the first person they reach out to. So that's why lead warming is so critical. You've paid for those people, whether it's a referral to anything in between down the road. nurture those people, because that you paid for them and earn the right, and it just takes time sometimes. So, and if you can segment that based on interest, at minimum, commercial lines, personal lines, obviously just providing a little bit of information there always pays dividends, and you'll see the benefit of it. Account review. So here's what I'll say here. This kind of separates into two categories when we talk about account review. So if we're talking commercial lines traditionally is very producer driven. And when we talk about account or renewal review processes with commercial lines folks, it's an immediate block all, like, I have the relationship, nobody's reaching out but me. Now listen, you can augment that. Okay. You can augment that. You can add value there. No one's trying to replace you as a commercial lines producer here with an email functionality, but you can certainly augment what you're doing. You can start asking for information. Remember, if you're reaching out to call someone, and even if it's just to book an appointment, you're just hoping in that moment that you dial the phone that they're prepared and able to talk to you as well. Whereas if you send an email, they can deal with that at their leisure when it's right for them. Maybe it's in the evening when you're not in the office anymore. They can provide you with some information, update some information, or schedule a time. So that is absolutely so. And then on the personal line side, who's got time? It's a bulk business or even small commercial. Like, holy crow! I mean, we all know that, producer, CSR, and small commercial and personal lines, you need to have hundreds of clients. And there's just no way that you can keep all those things up to date, stay in contact. So automating that process, you can protect yourself at an E&O level, but gather information as well, and highly recommend a mid-year check-in, some sort of, whether it's 10 months, so a 60-day reach out, whatever have you, repeated every year. So mid-year check-in is important. So that 5 to 6 months window. Just remember, people's insurance needs change all the time, not just at the renewal date. So asking them for updates, you can throw in a soft cross-sell there, is really important. So really, really precious ability to communicate with people. So then we get, we'll lead in here to a little bit of integration. So let's just talk for a minute here about the power of integrating with your management system, and we'll give our tip of the cap here to Asnoa. That's without getting too much into the solution. And I will just say, after we're all done this workshop, if we have time, if anybody has some more specific questions about our solution here at Agency Revolution, I'm happy to answer those kind of after our workshop here is done. But if you're going to start using an email solution, you need something that integrates with your management system. Why? It is a tremendous resource of data. If you think about those 4 things, keeping things relevant, timely, from someone they trust, and personalized, you can't do that if you're having multiple databases and updates. So remove that upkeep, eliminate the need to train staff and other platforms. So getting back to tipping the cap to Asnoa, they've done an incredible amount of work with us to create a very in-depth integration with your management system. I believe the majority are likely using Applied Epic, and so we've leveraged the BDE there, and it's an incredible amount of work to develop the integration that we have there that you all can leverage. It's phenomenal. Most agencies just would never ever have it, but like I said, Asnoa has stepped up to the plate on there, and I just will throw this caveat in there. Not only have they done that, but their marketing team has done an incredible job creating a ton of valuable, great content for you. So not only do we do a great job creating content for Agency Revolution, but as an Asnoa client, you can leverage all the content that they've created. So you get to double dip here. So just an FYI there. But when we get back to integrations, a proper integration should remove a lot of things. Remove staff to train other platforms. The last thing anybody in your office needs is somewhere else to log into to be effective at their job or to create success. There's enough portals, platforms, things that we have to use day to day. You shouldn't have to. A properly integrated solution shouldn't require that to have happen. Should allow you to easily segment. Remember, keeping things relevant, whether it's cross-selling, or I'm sure you get that memo from a carrier that says, hey, we got a new coverage, or hey, we're limiting a coverage, and you need to let those people know at minimum with that carrier, or maybe with a specific policy type. That should be easy to do with a properly integrated solution, creating those timely messages. So once again, leveraging the data to know when someone is 30 days prior to renewal or it's their birthday or anything in between is obviously critical. Certainly creating that personalization, the ability to not just simply mail merge first name, last name, but grab some account information, maybe their carrier, policy numbers, these types of things are just going to add to the level of personalization and really boost up your engagement on those. And all of this will help scale your efforts. Of course, multiple locations. Some of you may run into this. Properly leveraging an integration will easily allow you to make sure that communications are coming from the correct locations. Of course, if you have multiple branding situations, you can certainly, that shouldn't be an issue. But then, the sub part of that is if you are doing something like NPS, and if to run NPS, you want to make sure you're part of NPS. If you don't know what NPS is, I can get into it further. It's another great email opportunity for you. But part of NPS is driving people for Google reviews, and your solution should be able to not only drive people to Google reviews, but drive to get the Google reviews at the right location. So you don't want all your Google reviews at one location. If you have multiple, you want them in the right places. So making sure all of those things is accurate and correct, and certainly something we can accommodate here at AgencyRevolution. But once again, if you're looking at other solutions, they should absolutely be able to do that, particularly if there's a branding, multiple branding or co-branding situation. Some key metrics to track, and when it comes to emailing, is open and click-throughs. Once again, you can only track click-throughs if you have click-through. So every communication should have some sort of click-through to your website, to a Google review, to a form or whatever have you, something. Get people engaged. This is just general business strategy. It's at the moment it's escaped me, but quite the actual percentage here. But the reality is when somebody makes one step towards you, so if you communicate with somebody, if you market to somebody and they make a step back, they click through, they phone you, it's in the neighborhood of something like 80% more likely to buy from you. So just if you can create that movement where they're going to connect or do something with you, that the likelihood of buying more or doing business with you, period, hugely increases. So track those open rates, track those click through. They're very important. But then other things that you should be cognizant of is deliverability. So I know here at AgencyRevolution, we have a team that monitors deliverability within our solution and our individual agencies that we're working with. So you should take that into consideration. Like I said, the last thing you want to do is get listed somehow because you're doing some things that aren't quite right and really impacts your ability to communicate with people at a basic level, let alone a more advanced level like we've been talking about today. Website traffic, once again, if you're providing click-throughs to whether it's your main page or other individual pages within your website, you can track that. You should be able to see. If you don't have, we'll get into this tomorrow once again with websites, but Google Analytics is going to be able to provide you with information on where traffic's coming from. And you always want to track unsubscribes. I know we watch that very closely here. We pride ourselves, and we've noticed over time that our clients see very low unsubscribes, but it's because we incorporate those four things: relevant, timely, from someone they trust, and personalized. If you incorporate those things, your unsubscribed should stay low. You're always going to have a few, and that's fine. But remember, please keep an eye on those things. So there's questions here, and maybe I'm always open to questions, but I think I want to share some. As I mentioned, we kind of mentioned off the get-go some of my personal experiences, and I think what we see over time here is the fear to do anything. Oftentimes, when it comes from one of the fears when it comes to emailing or communicating with people, your clients in particular, there's this fear of poking the bear. So we don't want to poke the bear. Like the last thing I'd want to do is do anything. So I'll say there's two aspects of this. And I can think of we'll do recency biased here, a conversation I had yesterday with an agency that once again was worried about, like, what if I start communicating and all of my clients want me to requote or redo this? Well, number one, if you're fearful of that, then you stay proactive about it, and it's all about the verbiage that you use. but the second part of this, if you think for a moment one email communication from you or two is going to cue them up on the thought that they might be able to save a buck or something on their insurance, you're sadly mistaken. People are inundated every day with marketing budgets that surpass anything you can imagine. So whether it's TV ads, billboards, radio, pop-up ads on social, your phone, whatever have you, if all those things, the idea is to save a buck on your insurance for whatever have you, doesn't cue them to want to do that, I can assure you an email from you is not going to do that. So that is a fear that you should absolutely not have. And then some of the other, I think another fear people have is, what if I say the wrong thing? It has to be perfect. I think in this industry, analysis paralysis exists. It really exists. I am fortunate that never in my life have I ever succumbed to analysis paralysis, almost to a fault. Let me give you an example, and I hinted to this, Laura, as as we started this call. I was a client of AgencyRevolution. I get super excited when I had this solution that I want to communicate with all of our clients. So one thing I want to do is I want to get a piece of communication out to all of our clients. And I wanted to introduce them, make sure they knew that we had a referral program. So I had created this beautiful email that did all the things that we just talked about. So it was branded and had a click through to our website and the referral page that we got up on there, and we were really super excited about that. And I clicked it all, and I clicked send it to all of them. And so at that point, we had a decent sized agency, about 20,000 emails. And so I sent it out to all of them, and I was so proud of myself. I can still see myself kicking back at my desk with a big grin on my face. And then about a minute and a half later, I got a phone call, and it was a lady by the name of Mary, who worked in one of our other locations. And she said, "How many people did you send that to?" And I said, "All of them. Everybody, we got an email address." She goes, "Did you read it?" I was like, yeah, I read it. Why? She goes, "Well, you spelled everything, including your own name, wrong." I was like, "What do you mean? I proofread that thing." Now, a little asterisk here. Fortunately, technology has come a long way. Back in those days, you had to click save several times. Now things autosave. And there's things like Grammarly. But it turns out I reread the email, and I spelled everything, including my own name, wrong. And a lot of people, that would put fear in them, and you would just never send anything ever again, or certainly take you a month to get a piece of communication out. But in that moment, I was stuck with it. 20,000 people had this email in their inbox where I spelt my own name wrong. But fortunately, what we realized is a few things. So I had the flexibility and the ability to combat this right away. So I quickly went back into AgencyRevolution. I took the email, and I just basically changed the subject line from whatever it was, introducing referral program, to "I can't spell." And I basically, at the top of the email, I was like, "Hey, you probably just got an email from me or from us, and you'll notice that there's a few spelling and grammatical errors in there. But what I would encourage you to do is simply reply back to the email and let us know how many spelling and grammatical errors you can find. And what we'll do is all the correct answers, we'll put them in a draw, and we'll give away a company swag pack, t-shirt, hat, whatever have you, backpack, whatever we got kicking around." And that's what we'll do. And I click send and sent it out to the same 20,000 people, right? And I said, well, that's what'll happen there. So and so while at face value it seemed like it is a nice save, Miranda, thank you, but what it turned out to be is one of the greatest marketing strategies or marketing ploys, as it would have been seen, that I've ever done. And so what we ended up with over 1,000 replies back to that email, where people were actually counted and guessed, how many errors there were. I think, in truth be told, in a short email, was something like 16 spelling and grammatical errors. And so we got all these responses back, but then we started getting other responses with like, "You know what? It's great to know that real people are behind this," or "It's great to know that you're a real person. It's great to know that someone's putting thought into this." So instant relationship, instant as poor as that was, it was almost instant credibility. I actually got an email in one of the locations. One of our clients was a high-ranking marketing executive with a telecommunications company, and he replied back with, "This is without the greatest marketing ploy I've ever seen." And I was like, "Great! I'm glad my ignorance could be viewed as that." And so that was all positive. But then long term, our referrals for our agency ballooned over the next 3 months, because the only thing I actually did right correctly in that first email was the link to our referral pages actually worked. And so while everybody was reading and rereading this email looking for errors, they were reading about our referral program and clicking through it. And so obviously they did that, and then they're like, "Hey, I want in on this. I'm going to refer somebody so I can win a TV," or whatever it was at the time. So I share that story because I think it's kind of funny, but it's don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's, I'm not endorsing sending out something with a misspelling on it, but don't get stuck. Don't get stuck over analyzing what it should be. I just say start. Whether it's a one-off email communication like that I totally made a mess of, but really just the ability to start doing something, whether it's a one-off message or a campaign, welcoming new clients. Just do something. Something's better than nothing. Even, we talk to agencies all the time that like, "Oh my goodness, I don't even know, my data is a mess." Great, we can help do that, but also don't do nothing. Start doing something and fix what you need to fix, but get the ball rolling, because I assure you, your clients want to hear more from you. It is statistically proven that the fastest growing insurance agencies in this industry are proactively communicating with their clients 9 to 12 times a year. And the best way to do that is email. So if you're, and when I say proactive, we're not talking, "Here's your invoice, pay us again, here's your renewal." We're talking about throughout that policy year, 9 to 12 times of you adding value, building a relationship, being proactive. That's what the fastest growing agencies are doing. And that's what you need to do. And there's solutions out there that can help you do that. So that's really the point that we need to make here. And I think I'll tidy that up as I am always fearful of people saying, "I don't know. That seems like a lot of communication." Well, let me sum it up with this. Think of all the people, whether personal or professional, in your life that you have a great relationship with, that you think, "I have a great relationship, I value them." And how many of those people do you talk to once a year? I think that'll answer your question on how often you should communicate with your clients. So that's and now I will go to the questions page here. As mentioned, if there is more questions, you have a great opportunity as NOAA agencies to leverage our solution. That's not the point of the workshop, but I would, as NOAA's done such an incredible amount of work with our solution to make it easy for you all to use, and incredible advantage there, that if there's some additional questions about that after the fact, I'm happy to answer those or get into that. But if there's questions specifically about email or email marketing, please fire away.
I do have a question in regards to the unsubscribe.
Yes.
Should you reach out to those people who unsubscribe?
You certainly could. I just, if for no other reason, knowledge. Why? I think some people just, they just don't. And inevitably, you may find a good reason. Some people may have done it by mistake. Some people just may not have realized it. But if you can get an explanation on there, and then maybe they will opt back in, that's good. But don't, I certainly don't think that. I never get totally turned off by an unsubscribe. I'm a big believer that you could stand out on the street and hand out $100 bills, and somebody would complain that theirs is wrinkled. So that's just the nature of the beast, right? But just acknowledging that maybe there is something, or maybe you could change or whatever have you, but just knowing what everybody's preference is hugely powerful.
All right, fantastic. And I would love for you to share your story about the domain that we were talking about earlier. That one was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's once again, my long journey of failures that led to successes. I told some yesterday on social media that my social media success was a blind squirrel on a nut. But yeah, so I was doing so. We were doing some other marketing within the agency, and I was always a big proponent of trying to make the agency money, but every once in a while I'd cost them some. And so the domain was one of them. So we'd done an incredible batch of some print marketing essentially, and it was being quite successful till I realized once again I was never real good at the proofreading, that the email address that we put on there was incorrect, and it was an incorrect domain. So then we had done, something in the neighborhood of 100,000 or something of these print ads. So we had to go buy the domain of this error that I made, or misspelling of whatever. So we had to go out and buy it, and then have that domain obviously redirected both to our website and of course to our emails as well. So if people were trying to communicating with us and those, so once again, don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared of. I can assure you. Like I said, analysis paralysis is not my wheelhouse. It's not something but don't get there. Don't ever, it's better to be quick than right. So it's better to be fast. You want to be the first than right. And you can, in most cases, most people get a laugh out of it or whatever have you. Since we got a little bit of time, if you like that one, Laura, here's another print. I know this is an email marketing one, but I can't resist. You get a storyteller telling stories. So this print ad I mentioned, that the domain wasn't the only thing I had wrong on there, but the other one I was not aware of. So this was, I was so proud of this print ad. The amount of business that we had drummed up from this campaign that we did, and this is back in the early 2000s, right? So print stuff was really, really powerful. But I had this headline that was hugely powerful, and I was so proud that at one point, Agency Revolution actually asked me to share my story and some of my expertise at that time of how we were growing. And this is one thing I shared. And I was so proud that Agency Revolution at that time was doing some events, and I was invited to the event to kind of present. And I remember getting to this, forgive me, I was in my early 20s, and I was my first time really on a business trip anywheres. And so I was at this really nice hotel in Chicago, and I walk into this room, and the then owner of Agency Revolution was doing a presentation, the A to Z, the insurance agency marketing, like starter, whatever. And when I walked by the room, up on the slide, he actually had my print ad up there. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. I was like, he's actually profiling my stuff. And then I read it and I realized the headline was spelled wrong. It said save hundreds and thousands on your home and auto insurance.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh no, I must have sent him the wrong, I must have sent them the wrong PDF or the wrong file. How silly of me. This is kind of embarrassing. But then I went back and I realized we had done for a year, we've been running that print ad with the same misspelled headline. And no one ever called us out on that. And let me tell you, folks, we had thousands of people come for us for quotes, and not one person ever mentioned that we had spelled hundreds wrong. So whether it's email or anything else, errors are kind of fun. Don't let it stop you. Once again, you always want to maintain your professional image, but don't let it stop you from being successful or let it be a roadblock for you. So anyway.
Those are awesome stories, Joel. We thank you for that. You had mentioned that at the end, if anybody didn't have any questions or if anybody wanted to still stay on, you were going to show them some additional information.
Yeah, absolutely. I can show you quickly the solution that we've partnered with Asno on, which is our Fuse solution, which integrates directly with the Applied Epic solution. I believe the majority of agencies are using Applied Epic with y'all. If for some reason there's the odd one that isn't, we integrate with most major agency management systems. But our Fuse solution, just to really highlight it quickly, when we say it integrates with Applied with Epic, we're leveraging the BDE. So there's no training your staff on another portal or platform. There's nothing any of you have to do on a daily basis to make it happen. And quite simply, what I'm sharing on my screen now is Fuse. And so you'll have a marketing dashboard here, which highlights a few key things. Number one, NPS. We have a full-blown NPS solution. If you have more questions about that, you can reach out to us and we can walk you through that. But we have featured communications. So we have a content team that's constantly creating great content. And there's another content section here that added a whole bunch of cool stuff too as well. But here the idea is our content team's making sure that not everything needs to be automated. You have the ability and the need to get a piece of communication out, and it's 3 clicks. So some of it is time of year, sometimes it's insurance specific, and quite simply, if we were to go here from new home season, 1 click takes you to the ability to preview the communication, and you can make any adjustments here that you want. But I'll highlight a few things. Number 1, you'll notice that communications from this solution are coming from somebody within the agency. So whether it's the account rep or the producer keeping things from someone they trust, we mirror your email addresses so it looks and feels like it's actually coming from somebody within the agency. If somebody replies back to the email, it goes right back to the inbox you're using today. Within the body of the email, we can customize anything, incorporating images or videos or buttons, those click-throughs, but also certainly not relevant in this particular piece of communication, but the ability to click policies and actually bring in all someone's account information, so their policy information. So if this was an account review, that mid-year check-in, we referenced, hey, Laura, your homeowner's policy isn't up for renewal for another 6 months. If certain things change, you should let us know. Also, we're a full-service agency. Below is a listing of all your policies with us. Let us know if we're missing anything. So that soft cross-sell, but yet personalizing it. Back to this point, 3 clicks is your preview, and then you can schedule it now, send it now, schedule it later, send it now. If you click send it now, it goes to all your clients. So if you get rid of all my rhetoric there, you can send that communication out to all your clients in a matter of 3 seconds. So that ability to do that quick and easy, but the real power here is in automation. So just highlighting I've just clicked on custom campaigns just to give everybody a taste here. So things like prospect nurturing, client onboarding, account review, which can be really high level or very specific by policy, carrier, or line of business, systematic cross-selling, NPS, lost customer winbacks, birthdays, nurturing messages, newsletters, all those things are here at your fingertips. But as an example here, and within our solution, each one of these campaigns is multiple steps, is completely automated, and every communication is personalized for that client or prospect as it would be. And so quite simply, if this was your account with us here at Agency Revolution, there's not a thing anybody in your agency needs to do day to day to make things like this happen. So it's completely automated because of that integration we built in conjunction with Asnoa and Epic. And then of course we have this content library that has these and more campaigns pre-built, ready to go for you. So this is where Asnoa's added a ton of content for y'all. Now, this is not an Asnoa account, forgive me, so I can't highlight that Asnoa content. But if I were to do something as simple as a welcome kit here, you can see we have all kinds of options as it is. As an Asnoa agency, you then have the Agency Revolution, if you will, personal lines, commercial lines, welcome kit, but then you have Asnoa ones as too. So you have all these ones to choose from, and then you have the ability to customize them if you want as well. So you can really just flick the switch, turn them on, turn them on. Or if you want to customize each and every step, leveraging email, text message, which we didn't discuss today, or even print, you can customize the entire process for each and every one of them. So
can you send one-off emails from
yeah, absolutely. Great question. So as I mentioned, when we looked at, we have this feature communications, which are one-off emails. But if I go here to accounts, the idea of segmenting, targeting specifically, making your communication relevant. So quite simply on the right, this would be everybody in your instance of Applied Epic. So in your management system, this would be your clients and prospects. On the left are where we create segments or target lists, call them what you will. We know what most people are looking for, so we make it really easy. So whether it's that cross sell, or you mentioned, you want to, you got that memo from a carrier that says we got this new coverage, or it's a limited coverage, being able to target people really specifically, any carrier or specific policies, or my personal favorite, the cross sell. We want to target people that have, and whatever your example is, people that have homeowners that don't have auto insurance. So we select that and we click OK. Instantaneously, we get a list. Now with our solution, because it's tied so closely to your management system, this list is dynamic. And so what that means is it's constantly updating. You don't need to run it again. Right now you have 223, tomorrow you might have 222. So as you do your job, as downloads come in, as your producers, CSRs, whatever have you, do their job within the management system, these lists are constantly updating. That's actually one way we can automate. When somebody fits a criteria, we can put them in a campaign, and when they no longer fit the criteria, we can automatically remove them. So in this example is cross-sell, whether somebody has, in this example, home no auto with you today, tomorrow, or 6 months down the road, you never need to remember. They'll be opted into a campaign. Maybe it's 90 days prior to the homeowner's renewal or once a quarter. You're reaching out and offering that business. When you automate that, you don't run into 223 people getting that email today saying calls for a quote.
Mhm.
It's systematically done throughout the year for you. So you can leverage that to do that. Or if you want to send this or any other group of people just a one-off message, you can do that here. You can send them a postcard, a text message, or an email right from here. If we're going to send them an email, it gives us a couple options. We can browse the message library for a piece of communication, or you can start one from scratch. Completely up to you if you want to cultivate your own message, or just use something as a template and go from there.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so that we're at the end of our time there. So that's really just scraping the surface of the solution. Once again, if anybody has any further questions, reach out to us at Agency Revolution. I'll flip back here so you have that contact information here. Once again, the integration built in partnership with AsNoah really is powerful, and really quite frankly would be tremendously expensive for an agency to build, but we've done that. And of course, AsNoah doing a great job. They've gone beyond the negotiation stage for pricing for you all. So reach out to us to that. It's a little bit ridiculously good. if I'm going to be completely transparent there. So yeah, so I'll leave that at there, Laura. So
Yeah.
like I said, any questions, they can reach out.
Wonderful. Somebody would like to know if you're going to touch on NPS at all or tomorrow.
I can certainly touch on NPS here real quickly. I'll just flip back here to this. And so if you don't know what NPS is, it is Net Promoter Score. At face value, it's a customer satisfaction survey. Quite simply, once, no more than twice a year, you systematically survey your clients, asking them to rate you on a scale of 0 to 10. Those that rate you 0 to 6 are detractors. 8s and 7s are neutral or passive. 9s and 10s are considered promoters. You wash the responses out and you get an NPS number. So that number is yours. You compare it across industry, next to your buddy's agency, over time, whatever have you. And so that's great. But really, as I mentioned, that is just surface level what it is. What we know is that when people rate you, and particularly rate you highly, they'll do more. And one of those mores is they'll leave you an online review. So with NPS, you can drive people directly to your Google business page so they can leave you a Google review. So agencies use this, see a nice uptick in Google reviews. But here at Agency Revolution, we take it just one step further, because we know that when someone is a promoter in particular, someone that's 9s and 10s, as mentioned, they'll do more. But as defined by Bain and other research companies, it's the first indicator of a highly loyal insurance client. And a highly loyal insurance client is someone that will buy more, stay longer, and maybe most importantly, refer more people just like them. So here within survey and feedback, we combine that NPS responses with the data from Epic or your management system. So we can see Abigail here is rated as a 10 as monoline. She'll buy more. We just need to ask. So this is low hanging fruit. So you can reach out, either we can do it automatically, or you can reach out manually to communicate with these people, or just simply identify these folks have been with us for a long time, have 3 policies, good premium. Simply say thank you, continue providing that outstanding service that you have for them. But then overall, once again, we know these people will refer more. In fact, people that rate you 9 and 10 will refer 2.5 times more than any other client. So
Wow,
it behooves you to reach out on occasion, whether it's once a quarter, occasionally, to say our best clients come from clients just like you, introduce them to a referral program, and highlight that and reach out there. So that's NPS. It's generally speaking, at surface level, a customer satisfaction survey, which allows you to see the trends, but to be able to dig into the responses and the data, there's huge opportunity for growth here. And so the more, it's really an evaluation tool based on all your communication. The more you communicate, the better you build the relationship, the more people you will get responding, the more 9s and 10s you get, and of course your agency grows.
That's really awesome information. Taking that, getting those scores back, and then using those 9s and 10s as the ones to help you get your Google reviews.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's it really, and Google reviews just are beneficial, right? Once again, we'll probably talk about this tomorrow on websites and stuff like that, but Google reviews, of course, are hugely beneficial in local search, just general SEO search. And of course, makes everybody feel good too. You get a good Google review, it helps agency morale and everything like that. So
Ooh.
yeah, absolutely. So it's always positive.